Hello guys and gals of the internet, I'm The7chaos of YouTube, Twitch TV and Mixer.com. It is January 24th, 2018 and we have the very first 7chaos previews of the year with Dragonball fighterz for the PlayStation 4 and also available on Xbox One and gaming PCs through Steam, and it's going to be a worldwide release on the 26th, which is actually a very rare occurrence considering the Americans normally get their games on a Tuesday, but Dragonball fighterz is breaking the norm for the first time this year, being a worldwide release. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel and don't know what the 7chaos previews is, I'll give you kind of a brief overview of it. Basically, it went through a bit of a change in 2016 with the release of Uncharted 4. What it used to be beforehand was me sitting in front of the camera and kind of talking. It's kind of turned into a bit of a gaming weekend preview where I sat and really talked about the games all coming out for a certain week. Say, I think one week in 2015 was the releases of Gears of War Ultimate, Madden 16 and Until Dawn. I think they were all the same week. I can't really remember. I think they were, but basically, yeah, I would sit in front of the camera and talk about all the releases that were coming up at a certain week, or just a singular release, and vary, like for F1 2015, for example. I decided to change it up in 2016. Uncharted 4 was a special day. The release of Uncharted 4 was a special day because I just finished playthroughing the Uncharted trilogy, and I felt like I wanted to kind of just dedicate a singular episode to Uncharted 4 and kind of talk about my history with the series, my expectations for the game, how I feel about Uncharted 4, how I feel about the series as a whole, and it's something I just really adapted to start doing more often. And the reason why I did that was because, as you can see, I pre-ordered Dragonball fighterz. Now what the PS4 allows you to do when you pre-order a game is it allows you to pre-download the game to your hard drive in kind of 2 days before the game comes out. So that's what I've done, and that's why you can see the timer going down the screen. Now unfortunately, the reason why you're looking at my theme is because here it doesn't have a picture for the game. And look at that, the game is only 4 gig, which is really unusual because most games, as you can see with Doom is 77.5 gigs. So Dragonball fighterz is only 4, so I don't know how that is, but you know, I'm not going to complain. But as you can see, it doesn't really have a picture, so we're just going to have to stay on this theme looking screen with the Uncharted 4, the Uncharted 10-year theme, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, basically it allows you to do that, and I decided to actually switch up the series to a singular game for like a singular episode for each game. So if there was a multiple release one week, say with Life is Strange Before the Storm and Uncharted Lost Legacy, I decided to do the games individually where I could be more thorough about the game I'm playing. Sometimes the episodes will be long, sometimes the episodes will be short. It kind of depends on the game and the history lesson I can give over a certain series. Unfortunately, with Dragonball fighterz, I can't really say anything at all, because with Dragonball, I know absolutely nothing. I know absolutely nothing about anything Dragonball related. I probably know a couple of the characters like Goku and Gohan and Piccolo and people like that, but I know absolutely nothing about Dragon Ball. I am absolute zero when it comes to Dragon Ball as an anime, as a manga, as anything. I don't know a thing. The only thing I can really tell you is that I played a game a long time ago. I don't even remember what it was called or what it did, and I think it was only a demo. And that's it. I don't know anything about Dragon Ball at all. So, with that in mind, I wasn't particularly going to buy Dragonball fighterz, not because I didn't like it, or I didn't, not because of any other reason, well, no reason apart from, like I said, I know nothing. There's no really point delving into a series that I don't really know a lot about, but having said that, I am in a bit of a fighting game craze at the moment, which kind of started with Super Street Fighter 4. The reason I said that earlier was because Street Fighter 4 was kind of my intro into the Street Fighter series, and I kind of got okay at it, to a point, where I bought Street Fighter 5, and now I've played a set of Ultra Street Fighter 2 on the Nintendo Switch. and I'm very much looking forward to the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection that features all the classic Street Fighter games, including 4 online versions of Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter Alpha, and Street Fighter Third Strike. So I'm really looking forward to playing those games online. And like I said, I'm in a bit of a fighting game craze right now. You know, which all kind of started with Street Fighter 4 in a way with Super Street Fighter 4. And I started to really kind of get more confident about doing Ultras and Supers. It took a while, but I started to learn a bit more about the game and really enjoy playing it. The thing is, I suffer from cerebral palsy. And Street Fighter, as you know, is a very directional input sort of game, where you have to do a corner circle forward punch to do a Hadouken, for example. It's Ryu. Now I can do those moves, I can do them, but then it gets to the really advanced combos in Street Fighter 5, for example. And there is a lot of trials in both Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5 that I've never been able to do, simply because my cerebral palsy isn't a reason why I'm not good at fighting games. I'm not good at them regardless. I think even if I didn't have cerebral palsy, I think I would still lose the majority of matches that I played in Street Fighter series, or any fighting game really. Any fighting game, I would probably still lose the majority of matches. It's not one of my strongest genres. I love gaming, but I don't really have a particular strength in terms of genre or anything. I just love playing video games. That's basically it. But my cerebral palsy isn't a reason why I'm not bad at I'm bad at the game. I'm bad at the game regardless. You know, I'm not really that great regardless of whether I had cerebral palsy or not, but it does hinder my ability to do the really advanced stuff in fighting games. And that's pretty important for a reason we'll go into in a second. Basically, Street Fighter is very input-centric to a degree, and obviously with cerebral palsy affecting my left side the most, that obviously affects my left arm and my left hand, and the movement stick is on the left, meaning that obviously I'm going to struggle with special moves. Now I can do special moves, but I can't really cancel special moves into supers, or cancel special moves into other special moves, or things like that. I can't do really long, complicated combos. Basically, my kind of fighting game style isn't really heavy combos. It's not. It's my fighting style, because I know for a fact that I wouldn't be able to do these combos. I adjust my fighting style to be something different. And what I do online is that I wait for my opponent to make a move and then punish accordingly. Because I can't do combos, I play it a different way. Now, it doesn't work. You know, it doesn't mean I'm going to be tournament worthy or anything. You know, I still, like I said, I lose the much more when I win matches, let's be honest. But I think back in the day, it probably wouldn't have mattered, because living in the UK really means I didn't really have a tournament scene to go to. You know, we don't do fighting game tournaments here. We don't really do it as far as I'm aware anyway. We're probably in London or things, but I didn't live in London. So even if I did, I don't think they do fighting game tournaments as much in this country. We don't do fighting game tournaments, we don't do gaming tournaments. We have Eurogamer, and that's pretty much it. You know, we don't have an E3 or an arcade or anything like that. The Americans do, and they're kind of useful to fight sticks and things like that. As you know, I don't use a fight stick. I've tried and I failed miserably. So controller is my thing. It's not the best way of playing it, I'm sure, but you know, it's just the thing I'm most comfortable with. And like I said, I'm not really good at the games to begin with. Even if I had a fight stick, I probably still wouldn't be very good at that. I'd still lose. So even though I have cerebral palsy and I do it a different way, I would still lose even if I didn't have it, you know? So I'm not really great at fighting games. But what I like to think of with fighting games, and when I started to get a bit more confident with Street Fighter 4, I started to win a few matches. I started to get really kind of semi-decent with Jury in Super Street Fighter 4. And basically, I started to win, and I started to kind of think, wow, I'm actually winning despite not being one of the better players of the game. Now, to be honest, like I said, I still got really kind of bodied by the really good fighting game players, and I was able to get beat, but I'm not one of these guys that really focuses on winning or losing. I learn more losing than I do winning, to be fair. But it doesn't really matter to me, because I know I'm not good, and I know my cerebral palsy isn't a reason, but it is a barrier to doing the more advanced stuff in a fighting game. That's basically what it is. It's not the reason I'm not good at it, but it is a kind of barrier when it comes to doing more advanced stuff in games like Street Fighter or Marvel vs. Capcom. With Marvel vs. Capcom, as you know, it's very combo heavy, and obviously I don't have the greatest of timings due to my cerebral palsy with button pressing and inputs, so that throws Marvel vs. Capcom completely out of the window, and I know that for a fact because I played Marvel Infinite, and I couldn't get anywhere because of what I just explained. You know, I couldn't really get anywhere. So after a week of playing Marvel Infinite, I put the game down. I haven't really played it since. I've still got it. I might jump into a game just to show you what I mean. I might jump into a set one day, but you know, Marvel vs. Capcom really isn't a series for me. It's very combo heavy, and due to my lack of speed, my hand speed, due to my cerebral palsy, it obviously is a bit of a detriment as well. So I realized that series really isn't for me. My style of play, which is kind of blocking and punishing and waiting for mistakes accordingly, it's not really the case in Marvel that works. In Street Fighter it'll work sometimes, and in Killer Instinct it'll work sometimes, but Marvel it doesn't really work at all. So that's why I'm not really, I'm worse at the Marvel vs. Capcom series than any other fighter, to be honest. But yeah, like I said, we don't really have a lot here either, so there is that. So I would still get really kind of beaten, but being a person that doesn't really focus on winning or losing, it didn't matter. And with Super Street Fighter 4, I learned a lot about Super Street Fighter 4, that I was actually able to go back to Street Fighter 4 original and actually unlock Akuma and Gouken for the game. So Super Street Fighter 4, like I said, was my entry point into the Street Fighter series, and that's kind of the case with Dragon Ball. We'll go into that in a minute. Like I said, I kind of know nothing about Dragon Ball, but it wasn't until 2013 that I really started to play fighting games and really start to enjoy playing them with Killer Instinct. Now, Killer Instinct was always a kind of draw to me on the Xbox One. It was kind of the reason I wanted it, to be fair, and I ended up getting it a year later in 2014, and I think Season 2, I think we were either just starting it or just near the end of Season 1, and I jumped on board with Season 2. And let's be honest, I sucked. I sucked in the early going, but I started to learn the mechanics of the game. And like I said, my fighting style is a bit different. It's not really combo heavy because I can't really pull them off, but obviously with Killer Instinct you have the ability to do auto combos. Now, the detriment to doing auto combos consistently, which is what I was used to doing, I used to rely on that a lot, but I used to also get combo broke a lot. But I started to learn about the counter breaker, and even though I barely used it, I knew about it, and when I did use it with Conrad's madness, I started to really get better into it because I needed something to counter the fact I was getting combo broke a lot due to only being able to do auto combos as opposed to manuals. I can't really do manuals that well. So once I started to really learn about the mechanics of Killer Instinct, I started to really enjoy playing it. You guys have seen it on the YouTube channel. I've covered almost every character for the game. I love playing the game. I love the matches I have. They're competitive, they're close. I'm able to play the game. I'm able to just play a fighting game and able to play it my way and still kind of win. I still get absolutely smashed by the really good players in the game, but Killer Instinct's competition was insanely good, and the fact that I was actually keeping these matches at least competitive was such a draw to me, and that's why I kept coming back to Killer Instinct. And since then, I've just wanted to play fighting games, and that's been even more the case since I met my friend Julio. That we have a bunch of fighting games that we have together, and we've also played a lot of Street Fighter 5 and Guilty Gear, and we will be playing a lot of Dragon Ball FighterZ because he's a massive buff in the Dragon Ball universe. He knows pretty much everything aside from me, who knows absolutely nothing, like I said. But he's been talking about it a lot. He's been really excited, and he kept talking about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna check it out. But I don't really think about buying it that much, at least on day of release. But all that changed last week when the beta dropped. Now, first day of the beta, was actually the day before it was open. There was if you pre-order the game, you actually get a day's early access to the beta. I didn't pre-order the game because I didn't really think about buying it. Obviously a day later, the beta became open to everybody. Now, unfortunately, everyone and their mother downloaded this game, the beta, and wanted to get into it, and the online was busted for the entire day. I didn't even have one online match. But after playing the tutorial, just the tutorial, I fell in love with this game for many reasons. Now, as I said, I don't really know anything about Dragonball as a whole, but I feel one thing I love about this game is how authentic it is. How it's so it takes the source material and is just so authentic. It's so like tailored to the source material. It feels like watching a Dragon Ball anime. It's so in tune with the source material of this game. Now I can't remember the name of the developer, but they're basically the same developer that made Guilty Gear. Dragonball FighterZ is basically Marvel vs. Capcom mixed with Guilty Gear's online system and graphics engine. It's in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 with the 3-on-3 tag fighting that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 had, but it has the online and frame delay kind of netcoded Guilty Gear. And like I said, it's so true to the that's the phrase I'm looking for. It's so true to the source material. It's insane. It feels so authentic to the source material, like to Dragon Ball as a whole, and I love that about it. Even though I didn't know much about Dragon Ball, I know like the graphics and everything in the anime, and it just feels so true to the source material. It's so good. Graphically, this game is insanely good. But the one thing I fell in love with instantly at the end of the tutorial, and I hadn't even played an online match that day because, like I said, it was botched, unfortunately. But the one thing I absolutely adored at the end of the tutorial was the control scheme. Now, the control scheme is very simplistic, I want to say. There are two kind of ways you can do combos in this game. You can either do an auto combo system, where you can rapidly press the square button or the triangle button or the circle button to do combos, or you can do something they call, I think it's the rainbow sequence, where they press triangle, square, circle, X, triangle, square, circle, X, or square, triangle, circle, X rather, and it's kind of a rainbow sequence combo, I think it's called, it's a sequence of some sort. It's a sequence of rotation with the face buttons. But Dragon Ball FighterZ doesn't really focus on inputs that much, directional inputs. I think this game is accessible to a point where I think even Lady Time Lord could play it. She's got a worse version of cerebral palsy than I have. She's wheelchair bound, and she's obviously not great with her arms and legs. But I think she could even play this game. She could play this game just by pressing the square button continuously or the triangle button continuously. She could probably even do the rainbow sequence of square, triangle, circle, X. She could probably even do that. This Dragon Ball FighterZ is insanely accessible as a fighting game. It's incredibly accessible, and I love that about it. But there is a detriment to using the auto combo sequence in the game. The auto combos won't do as much damage as, say, the universal combo sequence, like the rainbow sequence, rotation sequence, whatever it is. I'm butchering this, but yeah, you can play it that way, and you won't be able to do much damage, or you can do the more advanced stuff. But like I said, Dragon Ball FighterZ not being really centric to input, like directional inputs. You only need directional inputs to really do a super. Really, I think. You just need to do corner circle back R1, and that's a super. That's a level 3. In Goku's case, I think it was. Goku had a level 3 super with that directional input. But there's barely any directional inputs to the characters in the game, and every character pretty much is universal. They all fight the same with different animations and stuff, but it's basically every character fights the same way. You can do a rainbow rotation combo, or you can do button press combo. I don't want to use button mashing because that's not fair, that's kind of harsh. But rapidly pressing the square button, rapidly pressing the triangle button, every character does the same thing. Basically, it's all universal, and it's all accessible to a point where I said even Lady Time Lord could play it. Someone with probably only one hand could probably play this game. It's incredibly accessible, and I love that. Now, a lot of people will kind of say, oh, you know, it just really boils down to a button masher, and I can see those complaints. But to do the really advanced stuff, it's not just about pressing one button. You need to kind of do the sequence of buttons in a combo. You need to do R1 to do a super, or corner circle back R1 to do a super. So you still need to do intricate things to pull off the really advanced stuff in the game, but I feel like I can pull it off. Even with cerebral palsy, I feel like I could pull it off. Even Lady Time could probably do it. Even the more advanced stuff in this game is doable for people like me. And even people that don't really play fighting games. People that don't know what Dragonball is. People that don't know what a fighting game is. People that don't know how to play a fighting game before. And anyone can jump into Dragonball FighterZ. It's that accessible, and I love it. I fell in love with this game. It completely flipped my opinion. It completely flipped my decision. Because like I said, I wasn't initially going to buy this game. I wasn't even going to pre-order it because I didn't really know much about the series. Now, obviously with fighting games, you don't really have to know about the series to play it. You know, because I think there is going to be a story mode, and Julio says it's going to be basic fan fiction that everyone has wrote, the people have wrote, or something like that. And there's going to be an arcade mode, most obviously, I think, and there's going to be obviously the online component. But it's just so incredibly accessible to almost anybody. Almost anybody can play this game to a good level. You know, that obviously you will eventually learn about the other sequences to do in the game. It's that accessible to do more advanced stuff that you will want to know how to do it, because like I said, the auto combos don't do as much damage as, say, the rainbow sequence, whatever it's called, the rotation sequence. I'm butchering it, but you know, it's something like that. It's basically X square, triangle, circle in Marvel's case. Now, with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, like I said, it was very high on doing those combos, so as you can imagine, I didn't really do very well. So with Dragonball FighterZ, you don't necessarily, it's pretty much like Marvel Infinite in a way, the way the rotation sequence works, the auto combos, but, you know, it was so combo heavy, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. You don't need to necessarily know how to do combos. You can space out. You can dash forward, you can dash backwards. It's very mechanic heavy. I think Dragonball FighterZ is going to be one of those games, that fighting games in particular, that you can play just knowing the mechanics. And that's what I did with Killer Instinct. I learned the majority of the mechanics in Killer Instinct, and I got so much better at it to a point where I reached gold rank. Now, unfortunately, that was kind of my ceiling with Killer Instinct. I don't know what my ceiling is going to be with Dragonball FighterZ. I'm probably going to have a very low ceiling. Who knows? But at least I can play, and at least anyone can play, and at least be semi-competitive at the game. I'm not going to be insanely good, despite the more accessible kind of control scheme. I'm still going to get bodied, I'm still going to get beaten, but at least I can have the amount of fun and competitive matches that I had on Killer Instinct. And that was, again, Killer Instinct was a more accessible thing to me, and I played really well to a point. And I feel with Dragonball FighterZ, to wrap this up, I feel that Dragonball FighterZ is going to be the most fun I've had in a fighting game since Killer Instinct. It really feels like Killer Instinct version 2. It really does. It feels like another Killer Instinct 2013, where I'm just going to enjoy the game. Once I really got into the nitty-gritty of the game, I started having these really good and competitive matches with the awesome comp that was on Killer Instinct, I couldn't put the game down. I played it for days straight. Honestly, and I feel like that could be the case for Dragonball FighterZ. I really do. I really think once I learn the majority of stuff in this game that there is to learn, and I really start doing advanced stuff, and I really start making matches competitive, not necessarily winning or losing, It's just about being competitive for me, because I know I'm not really that good anyway. But if I can be competitive, and even if I can win those close matches, I just won't be able to put the game down. I felt the same with Killer Instinct. I feel the same with Dragonball FighterZ. I think once I pick this game up, I'm not going to be able to put the damn thing down. Let's do this. I'm The7chaos, signing off. Until next time, peace out.